Hello, good morning. Oh,
I'm right
no,
here.
You're not. You don't even have your chair and you're on your phone.
I'm right here.
Okay, one day. Get your chair. People don't like to wait. Just get your chair.
No, they're not waiting. They're
yes,
here.
They are waiting.
No, you gotta let for all the crowds to get in.
So we kind of a busy day today.
We do have a busy day.
It's spring break. So we have our niece coming for a sleepover. We got movie plans for tomorrow.
We're gonna go see Mario.
Yeah, who's seen Mario?
Mario is the number one grossing animated film of all time in the first weekend.
He's very excited about that for whatever reason.
I love records when it comes to that. Well, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, sure, yeah.
It's a good movie. I'm sure it is.
So I'm excited for that, and I'm gonna go work at a coffee shop with the children while Zach gets a massage. And
don't worry, I need it though.
And I've got an online class today that I'm gonna work on, and excited about it.
Tell them about the online class.
No.
Oh.
Sorry, you'll see about that later.
Let's see about that.
But I have been working on something pretty fun.
What are we talking about today? Pick a topic so I can label the shared video.
That's a lot of pressure, and I feel like I don't want to answer
5,
that.
4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, that is glare.
Actually,
what are we talking about?
I think so. Sometimes, question for you, because I feel like this happens a lot, and I'm reading a John Maxwell book right now, and I just finished Hopfield Cunnington's I Dream Big, and I feel like sometimes there are times when you really feel like I can't learn anything new here, as like a resistance to like breaking through something.
Yeah, and that it's like a justification to exit.
And
or
I can't see a possibility here. I can't see anything new happening here. I couldn't possibly learn any more about this topic or whatever. But it's really just like an upper limit or something of a way to exit. Yeah,
let me actually expand on that, and I'll let you keep going because I want to hear more about what
you'll
you're
let
saying.
me.
I'll allow it. But I would say all that shows up in different. You use different phrases, so you might hear a phrase. It relates to a job, relationship, a lot of things. Oh, it's ran its course.
I was more thinking actually right now in terms of business, business marketing, or even like spirituality. Like we meet a lot of very like spiritual people, and
don't say it in an offensive way.
No, I do say it in an offensive way because the most spiritual people that we know it all.
Oh.
And actually won't break through something that's actually pretty amazing. It would be quite possible.
Polar
even. Yeah, that like makes him mad.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, so Zach and I obviously are in the transformation space, and we have been for a really, really long time. And so when we meet people, if we share with them the type of stuff that we do, what do people immediately do?
Oh, like when they say, "Oh, yeah, that's cute."
Yeah, but somebody else who's in the space.
Oh, I do it too, or I know that.
Yeah, like.
Oh yeah, we did the same thing.
We do that. I mean, yeah. Do you do this though? That's actually the first thing that people. And it's like, what?
Well,
as opposed to being in collaboration.
Yeah, it's tough because I think
it's really kind of funny. And what's a bummer is that as people who want to guide people, help people transform, it is your duty to continue to grow and transform yourself, right?
Yeah, I think you can explore with a watchful eye And you could be alert doesn't mean defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's I have this conversation with my fam all the time of the difference between being, what on guard or is often expressed as defensive or closed off or guarded. And I think you can be alert and still progress forward and explore. And no different than imagine going hiking and you're in uncharted territory that you've never been. You don't know what the terrain is like ahead. So you're kind of on the lookout. You're on the lookout for pitfalls or loose rocks or spikes. Or if you walk into an abandoned house that you're trying to like save somebody, you're like when you walk in, you're still like very, very aware and alert of the dangers that are around you or the pitfalls. And that's not to say engaging with someone else in a new is dangerous. That's not, but you can tell it's more like, no, I don't need to do that because I've already been there.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile to notice that. But we also do that in a relationship too. It's kind of like that whole conversation about well, why do I need that? I already know everything about you, so we don't need to we've been together for 10 years. This is not really, I know you, so I know you better than anybody else. That might be true as it relates to anybody else, but I can never fully know you either. And it's probably the same with people in the field that we're in. What I think is different. I think when a lot of people will say, "Oh, I was at a hockey game," and someone said, "Oh, you're like you help like divorced couples and stuff," and and I think you said adjacent. Adjacent. Well, and it's and even my sister was like, well, I want to know what I'm going to get. And what makes what we do uniquely different than anybody else, and we've looked for over a decade now, and we have yet to see a single outlet that actually does the same thing. And that's a good thing. Is all we do is we offer a new view, a new perspective, such that you can interact with it differently.
And I think
we don't insert.
But I think, knowledge. But what I'm talking about is, and it makes me sad. Honestly, it makes me actually like really sad.
I thought you were about to actually cry.
No, but it makes me. I probably could cry about this. It makes me sad that people actually think that they have seen every perspective or every view of their relationship. Or every perspective of their health condition, or every view and every perspective of how their family operates. Like, it actually really makes me sad that people think that they've actually seen it all when it comes to relationship, that they've actually seen it all. And that they couldn't possibly see a new perspective on something. And hear my heart here, because there's been a time where I really could not see a perspective or anything, a different view of us. And what if I stopped looking? And so it makes me like really sad when I'm like, really, you think that you've actually seen it all? And it like that makes me really bummed out for people.
Yeah.
And that's why we get on here like every morning, because it's like that just right there, like that really, really bums me out.
If you're listening to this and you feel like your relationship has run its course, or you feel stuck and you are either ready to exit physically or emotionally, or
maybe you have,
or legally, or maybe you already have,
we'll do it.
I can't say.
We'll do it. Thank you.
Our daughter is taking a very heavy load of laundry.
She is taking her own laundry downstairs, but it is.
And it probably weighs as much as she does. Good job, Boo.
Yeah.
I always feel very emboldened, but also kind of like I think what you would describe it. What's the word when you're like angry, sad? When you're kind of pissed off, but out of like a loving heart for that person. Kind of like how you feel with your kids when it's like when you're like, I love you, buddy. It's like when you see somebody that's going to, especially when you're at their wedding, right? And you see someone that's ready to like walk away from their marriage. Is look, if you're gonna walk away, like, wouldn't it be worthwhile to know what you're walking away from? And we assert that you don't.
Wait, sorry.
You have to lower the volume.
Sorry, I know.
There's a volume button, I think, right there.
There's also mute.
Oh, okay. And how I know there's a difference between if people, and what's frustrating is when people say they want something. I just did a post about this yesterday. Is like when I did a reel on this, was when your words are not coherent with your actions. Like, oh, I wanted to work out, but it's just not going to. Well, what can I show you something you've never seen before in your relationship? Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe we'll think about it, but I think it's over. I'm like, okay, but before it's over, can I show you something you've never seen that if you saw something you've never seen before in your relationship, you might feel different. You might have the opportunity to feel different. I don't. Yeah, I appreciate it, but thanks for the offer. I don't know. I just things are pretty tough. It's like there's like that's like the upper limit you're talking about. It's like they're not. I think they are. Do you think it's like a fear? Like, what do you think? What would you say that is?
I think those are just like really unfortunate habit loops. Like they're very unfortunate thought habit loops of a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. Like I don't care how you spin it. You have belief. I was just reading this morning. You can have like belief in your like personal beliefs, and then you have belief in like the purpose, like your purpose. And so when someone says, I mean, I think, I mean, I'm sure there's, it could work out somehow, but I just, I don't know. It's like, well, take this step. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to. That's somebody who has really strong, maybe purpose beliefs, as maybe they hold marriage high, right? But then they don't have personal belief of like it actually happening. So then they don't take a step. And so it's a very hard place to be. And it's a very, very fixed mindset because something is out there that is a possibility, but you don't believe enough in yourself to actually do it. What I would actually have somebody consider is it belief that you don't think you can do it, or is it just unknown?
Yeah.
Is it just I'm scared? Is it just I've never known myself that way and that makes me scared? I think also where people have and hold a lot of weight and worry and fear is but I don't want to sacrifice myself. I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to, right? Like really protecting I.
The fear I have is I don't want to come across. I don't want us to come across as know-it-alls either, or like condescending in any way. But trust us when we say we wouldn't say something that we haven't experienced ourselves and lived through ourselves. So we can say this confidently and boldly, as arrogant as it might sound, that there might be something happening in your relationship that you're completely unawake to or unaware to. And if you find yourself resisting a new view, I would offer you to spend time considering that and reflecting on that as it relates to the things you want that just seem out of grasp. Like there are things that you want to accomplish. There's maybe a peace or maybe an ease or just a flowing state. Maybe you want more of an adventurous relationship. Maybe you want maybe you want a more relaxing relationship. Maybe you want more just natural flow. You want to get back to that kind of playfulness. Notice that there might be something the second you're offered the opportunity to see something, you can't unsee it. Therefore, it's better to not look.
Or you always turn it down.
Well, because
so you don't have to look.
Where I think I'll give a shout out to Shelly. I gave a shout out to Shelly. She posted, I think it was her. She posted this really cool quote of, oh man, now I'm blanking. It was something like essentially about watershed work. Is once you see,
we say that in the workshop.
Watershed, and I'm like, watershed. What is watershed? I actually think of like an actual like shed
in the workshop.
But like you do irreversible work, meaning once you see something and hear it and know it's there, it then becomes a choice. And that is scary. That sucks. That sucks to that sucks to choose a dysfunctional relationship.
reality is an acquired taste. So once you realize that certain things are choices, that can be really hard. And you were saying something that made me think about something.
Why are we so fired? I don't know. I feel a bit.
Before you said a quote you saw that you couldn't remember.
Oh, just you talking about your upper limits, and like once you see something, like it becomes an active choice. Yeah, it'll come back to you. It's still morning. It's only 9:30 a.m.
It's gone.
Do you need another coffee?
Brain and it's gone.
Coffee?
You know, I've talked with a lot of people before 9:45 this morning. And,
yeah, she was on the phone for a little bit.
I've had a day already.
Yeah, full day. I like it when you have a day and you're like already like you feel like you've done like
it's not even 10 a.m.
4 hours of work before
like
10 a.m.
There's been a lot happening. Dang, it was. Oh, I can't remember.
That's okay. I forgive you.
I can't remember, but I want to remember.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry.
Let's talk about. Let's pick a random subject.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's bugging you now, isn't it? It's bugging
How
you.
do brains do that? It is right there. Why does that happen?
It's like a foggy, distant thing in the back of your mind, and you just need me to say one word that will re-trigger it. I'm sure. I know.
It's like a weird hypnotic state where it's like if you were to say one word,
boom,
it'd be there.
Power of the mind. Pink elephant.
No.
Yeah, it's gonna like eat you alive now.
It really is because it was really good.
Well,
I read something this morning about a guy named Larry Walters. If you don't know who Larry Walters is, Larry decided it was a good idea to grab a 6-pack of beer and a sandwich, tie himself to a lawn chair with like 100 like helium-filled balloons to float above the ground like 30 feet. And then you know what ended up happening to Larry? He lived. But he shot up in the air 16,000 feet.
Could he breathe?
And then these planes were flying by and had to call air traffic control and be like, you're never going to believe this.
Was he in a chair?
He was in a lawn chair.
Oh my god!
Like one of the ones that like go like this.
Oh my god! But I think I've seen this.
He tied himself to his Jeep.
How did he get up? How
many
balloons?
Then his friends cut him off of because the Jeep is what was weighting the chair down. And he thought he'd just like float up a little bit. Instead, he like shot up and just like kept going. Oh, and he had a BB gun so he could pop the balloons. But because he went so high, he was nervous to pop the balloons because he didn't want to like just like. So he floated up there for a while. And then eventually got brave enough to like shoot the balloons down. And then he got caught in some power lines. And then there was this city that had a blackout for 20 minutes because of this guy. And he finally got down on the ground.
This is an old story though, right?
Yeah, this happened in like the 70s. Okay. And he finally got down on the ground and he got arrested.
Was he drunk?
I don't know. It depends if he finished that 6-pack of beer up there or not. I don't know.
Well, he brought the beer with him.
Yeah, because all he was going to do was float above. All he wanted to do, you guys, with possibility right here. All he wanted to do was float to like the height of his house.
And just have a beer.
Have a beer up in the air, whatever. Shoot the balloons down and come right back down.
He went 16,000 feet.
But why I'm sharing this is because this is the thing. Is God had placed a vision behind this man's eyes. He was like, I
don't know if that was God that placed that vision.
I'm going to try this out. But this is what I'm talking about. Is if you just take a step, like all he wanted to do was go like just a little bit. But instead,
I see your grand point
just
here.
like, so like you just never know.
You never know.
You just never know when you're going to fill up that one extra helium balloon you needed. To really just blast the freak off.
The question is are you taking the right step or the wrong step for it? Because you might blast off either way. I didn't say to draw knowledge from But there's
this
definitely a
thing.
I think what I'm hearing there, it shows the possibility of that's created in taking step inside of action, and something miraculous might happen. Miraculous isn't always I could say it's kind of a cool thing. If he was more prepared, it would have been kind of amazing. I'm actually surprised. I feel like people have tried this whole like up theory with the balloons, and it never works as well. I mean, it's very, very hard. Were these like were these just normal balloons?
No.
These are special balloons.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay. That's what I'm saying.
They were like they were like this big.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That makes more sense.
They weren't just like Party City balloons.
Oh, okay. Because like those couldn't withstand it.
Go look this up on YouTube.
That's crazy. You have to watch that.
Larry Walters.
Walters.
Carnegie was looking up Larry Walters this morning because immediately I'm reading my book and immediately I was like, Carnegie, look up Larry Walters on YouTube because that's where facts are. And so he goes, and of course there's like a ton of videos, but one we'll have to watch later. Carnegie didn't watch it, but one we'll have to watch later is on drunk history.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a perfect drunk history story, right? Like, it's perfect.
If you don't know what that is, it's on Hulu. It's hilarious. You gotta watch it.
It's on Comedy Central.
Comedy Central. And
if you're a human, I'm sure you know what drunk history is. I feel like it's been around forever. I
actually would argue
it's been around for like a decade.
I think a lot of people haven't.
If you have not watched drunk history,
watch it.
It's basically someone who gets drunk and then tells the story.
Well, their task.
They have to tell a historical story of something like Larry Walters, like what I just shared. But then it is dramatized by actors lip syncing
usually
with the story,
actors.
And it is always so hilarious.
But prior, they're very good at telling the story, even when they're drunk, because they are given the story, they study it, they memorize it, and then they
try to tell
heavily
it.
Intoxicated, and then they try to tell it.
They try to tell the story
with like
totally
slurred speech and
so
stuff.
Funny. And as somebody who, well, you don't even drink that much anymore either, but as someone who doesn't drink anymore, it is always a really great reminder for me when I watch that show of like why I don't drink.
Because but they get like too drunk. They get like too drunk. They get the kind of drunk where you have to like you need a special friend around, and I wouldn't want to be filming that.
But it is so funny.
It's really
it's hilarious. So look it up. But Larry Walters does have a drunk history story. We have learned so much on drunk history. So when we'll fact check ourselves, like we'll like look because sometimes they're drunk, right? So sometimes they get things wrong. But we've learned a lot.
Yeah, we have.
We've learned a lot of cool things on there.
I also, it kind of makes me think about all the different seats because I feel like we haven't done that in a long time, and it makes me
watch drunk history.
Well, yeah, we haven't done that in a long time, but it makes me think about just the different seasons of relationship, you know, and of your life in general. It doesn't really matter if you're single. I guess it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or not, but as you reflect back, like there's that like. I think it's in Proverbs. Like there's a time for everything, right? And he gives off a bunch of examples. There's a time for this, time for that, time for this, time for that, and it makes me think about. That gives me a lot more peace as well, because sometimes I reminisce. I'm like, those were the good old days. But at the time, it was just what was happening. Like it didn't seem like it was good or bad. It's just what was happening. COVID. But when you reflect back, it's like, like the best summer of my life was like 2020. But at the time, I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't like I don't think of it with such like envy as I do now, you know, and it makes me realize, but I think that helps me brings me back to the present, realizing that you have just different like seasons of your life that you're in, and they serve a purpose, and then you kind of move out of it and then you move on. I think what trips us up a lot as individuals and inside of a relationship is when you start to compare that as like something you've slipped out of, and it could be used, and especially if sometimes you have to kind of retract before you can like pull forward, you know, like before the waves push into the shore, they retract back. Slingshot, same thing. Like things have to kind of build up tension to be pulled back, and that tension is uncomfortable. And a lot of times when you're coming out of a good season or harvesting season in your relationship, and you go into a kind of maybe a hunker down season, it could be perceived as like you're going backwards, but we've had enough years now and enough repetitive experiences of that like flow where that I'm like starting to kind of be a lot more present to that.
Well, yeah, it's just structural tension. There's something that we help coach people through when they're ready called structural tension, and that's basically what it is you're going to have to create that somewhere.
Yes.
To actually like go somewhere.
Mm.
That's just like, there's no way around it. I mean, even just think of growing up and going to school. Like school gets harder and harder and harder and trickier and trickier and trickier. And then one day you're off. You're like, 20-year-old or 21 or whatever.
Yeah. This is it.
And that's it. That's all you get. And that whole time you could complain that whole time through grade school, middle school, and high school, and dances and sports and activities, and then you're gone. And so there's like long, drawn out big scales. Same thing if you're like starting a new gym routine. It's like, what do your muscles feel like? Well, when you first start, it may not be fun because you haven't used those muscles in a while, but then you start to use them, and then all of a sudden they're not sore anymore and you're feeling great. And then what do? You go off and then you maybe go level up and you pick up a heavier weight or you do whatever.
So I think about that last week. Well, was it last week or yesterday? I talked about, I think it was last week on Friday maybe. We talked about like your relationship. And it's like you have like a story and you have a story. It's like we're talking about Love is Blind. And when people say, oh, they're a good match. And I think what you're looking for is like, you're looking for those circles like to overlap, those story loops to overlap, and like what's a good fit. Like, oh yeah, they fit into like 90% of my life, so I can put up with the other 10%, and we can kind of compromise. That's kind of the stories we tell ourselves, right? Often what happens, and think about the structural tension, the same thing happens in your relationship where you start to like grow, you start one story loop, and it started with you when you began Optavia, and you started like your as a client, your health, you started to really take over your mental health and your physical health. I would say to start with your mental health, because I noticed you changing before you physically changed. And what happens is it created a structural tension in our relationship. And then you look at that, and it's no different than like working out or something like that. It's like I see you changing, and then I'm confronted with the opportunity to say, interesting, like, do I want to join that story loop with you, or do I want to resist it? And a lot of times in our relationship, we end up having a lot of breakdowns and upsets because it's almost like we're competing for agreement on where that story is going to be aligned. And in our case, I'm like, ooh, well, I'll take what she's having. Or I was at least curious about it, or I kind of like leaned into it. And I think that created a co-creation or a co-owned experience inside a relationship. And I know what I'm saying is it could be a bit heady, but what I would offer is if you look back at your relationship and you look at the good times and the bad times, a lot of times what's happening is an agreement or disagreement on the shifts of stories that you're both living inside of a relationship.
Or different ways.
Yeah.
Different ways of getting there.
Or different ways of getting there, yes. And it's founded on, and it stands on top of an agreement of what that is. It's really interesting to consider and think about. So upsets don't seem like they don't feel so capturing because they are you can see what's happening. Like I guess I would say in the background, I suppose, like you could see what's like a lot of like breakdowns or things that piss us off towards each other are usually all found on some sort of breakdown in an agreement or the story that we believe or want to be true,
or that we want.
Yeah, the story that we want. The story that we want. Yeah, the story that we want. And it's like I tell a story, then you're like, no, and it's like, well, okay, about this, no. Like then eventually, if there's a lack of joining in agreement on that story, is when the fireworks can increase. And sometimes it's a little like snap it, like around the dishes, and then sometimes it's a freaking nuclear explosion around parenting kids. It could be depending on the topic and the severity. I think that is a big indicator. So it's worthwhile to notice. There's a lot more there is something to notice that might give you a lot of peace around that. That's, I think, helped us a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think of your thing? No? Was it gone forever?
Didn't.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
I'm really bummed out.
It was like probably really, really good. I mean,
it was because it actually even had like a. I'm sorry. I can't believe I forgot. It was good. I'm gonna remember in like a half an hour. I know. I haven't washed my face or put anything on my face yet, and my allergies are going crazy, and I'm trying really hard not to itch my eyes.
Raise your hand if you got allergies.
I'm trying really hard. It's just been raining so much. Mm-hmm. It's that springtime in the Pacific Northwest, man. It's like.
Yeah, I'm ready for some sun. I'm looking at my California friends.
It's pretty dark right now. It's actually, you know what it is? It's that everybody's on spring break right now, so everybody like wants someplace nicer.
No, but it's been like I think we have like 10 straight days of like rain, and it's like kind of like it's like so it's like windy, and it's like rainy, and then it's kind of like windy, and it's like a nice steady 45 degrees. So it's not really freezing, but it's also not hot, warm. It's like,
you know what it is. You know what's so funny too?
What?
Is it doesn't seem, it's like, yeah, so what? But it kind of impacts a little bit of everything. Like I went to the grocery store yesterday, and all the carts were gone.
Oh.
Well, all the carts were gone, and all the carts were wet because they were all sitting outside. So then you go to the grocery store, and then everything is wet. And then everything is wet in the grocery store, like when you first get in.
Yeah, you walk into a trail of wetness.
And I'm like, this is nasty. Like it just like it impacts everything a little bit.
I don't mind it. Yeah, it's like it's just, but it's
or like you go into the store and then you're like you have your raincoat on and then like you're
kind
wet.
Of damp.
And like, yeah, I don't like being wet. I don't like. Zach's like, let's go clam digging. I'm like, ugh. Ew, I don't want to be wet and
no
salty.
Wonder you don't want to scuba dive. Like,
No. God created oxygen that we can breathe, and there is no reason
there's plenty of oxygen.
You need to go someplace where you need an oxygen tank to be able to breathe. If you need assistance in breathing, like in outer space,
says the lady who wants to go Everesting,
or in water, yeah, I can breathe just fine. I'm only going,
but it's the principle of hiking
feet anyway, and I'm not going to Everest for that reason. Like if you cannot breathe on your own, I just don't think you're welcome there. So like you can't breathe in the water, you cannot breathe in outer space, and I just don't think you need to be hanging out there.
And with that, we're gonna have let's start a big fight about that.
No.
What if we just had like this major blow up on Facebook Live?
That'd be great. No, we don't have a lot of blow ups. I think that might be hard to catch. If we have a blow up, it's because I'm tired. And you keep bugging me.
No, it's not a blow up. It's more like.
What is it like?
Or just like, you need to like go take a nap or something.
No, but you know what?
That's what you say.
You know what?
Go take a nap.
Like you need to go on a walk and go for a nap or something. But something that we do, which it probably throws people off because they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was like so like." My mom will be like, that was so mean. And I'm like, no, it's true. I'm not going to like, pussyfoot around if this is what's so. It's like, we're very like, people may call it snappy. We just call it like, let's just get to the point because it doesn't really mean much anyway.
If you're in a public setting and you say something kind of rude, Siri will go like, kind of like Caesar Milan, the dog trainer. Just
I don't mind.
Snap it out of it. But it's better to have people go, ooh, because then it's like, okay. But I know I never really hits me, but I understand it can make people that are conflict hesitant uncomfortable. But I don't really see it as conflict. I see it as
my gift to the world.
I don't see it as conflict. I see it as clarity.
Yeah, I think being clear. And also being clear of what is going to be said around you. I think that is very kind. I
like that. I think there's something I want to riff on that conflict and clarity. Because I think conflict in a way does create clarity. Because I think conflict by definition is a discussion around boundaries.
Right. And I think it is valuable for the other person to just be like clear. Like, don't say, I really don't like it when you do that. It's like, no, I don't like it when you do that. I would love this. Can you do that?
And if
that is better than, it's not really my favorite thing, but okay. And then getting mad about it. It's like,
some of you guys though will say that though, but then the problem is boundaries have to have consequences if there are to be boundaries.
Yeah, so when you say, I really don't like, I told him I really don't love it when he does that,
but he does
keeps
it anyway.
doing it.
What would you do? I don't know. I don't know what to do.
It's like, well,
do something.
Actually say what you mean.
Or do something.
And then,
it's
right, and do something and actually fall through. Because like that's the thing. I will not play into that game. I'm like, no.
It's no different than it's the example of playing games.
Yeah.
If there's no conflict for going out of bounds, people would just keep going out of bounds. You have to stop the game.
Like, it's just, no, well, don't take that very little. You don't have to stop the game.
Well, no, stop the game is what I'm saying.
I know, but people are going to hear that as exit. They don't
No, it's fine. No, you stop, you blow the whistle, and then you put the ball back in bounds. Yeah,
but like...
And you continue playing.
But 2 people are on the team.
Yes.
So, yeah, so if you ever see us and we're like... It's like, that's why. It's like, I don't like to beat around the bush. I don't like to say things twice.
I do though.
Actually, that's if I get mad, it's probably because I had to say something twice, and it's probably because I wasn't being heard.
If you want to piss off Sierra,
make me say something twice. I cannot stand repeating
myself.
Fellow
Enneagram 3 right
I cannot stand repeating myself. I am very clear. I tell the kids, I say, I don't like to say things for fun, so I need you to listen to me.
If you want, yeah. I mean, I'm telling you right now,
I do not do fluff.
But that's also what I love about you is I think I'm very clear.
Yeah, I will even say, he'll say, what about this, or can I? And I'm like, I already told you, so I already said it.
Yeah.
You're like, what time are we going here? What time are we going there? I'm like, I already gave you the times.
So there has to be, I think that is a noble, impressive quality that you have. I do think it is a core motivator and desire that's built into your way of being that is unique to the individual. And I think, because I don't experience that. Like, I might get annoyed, but...
yeah, because you're the most long-winded person on the face of the planet.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like, I don't...
So we balance each other out really well, because you say things forever.
No, I don't say things forever. I think out loud.
Sure.
I give people the
very
gift.
Very often I'll say...
The gift of insight.
Let me sum this up. What he means is this, and people go, oh.
Now, what people, you know how people want that superpower of like, I wonder what's going on in their mind. You don't need to wonder about that. I'll just think it out loud. For better and for worse. I was.
I know this though, so I'll know. I'm gonna let you do that and then come back. And
I was that kid, like what Chamberlain did. I was that kid that would say something completely inappropriate, but not in a mean way, just because I think it.
Right.
And my mom would be like, Zachary Taylor, we do not say that in public. Or at all.
Or ever. Like those are mind fucks.
And then you
just say that.
Anyway, we're over time. But
so funny. Okay, we gotta leave for Zach's massage.
Yeah, I gotta leave like right now. So.
Yeah, I know.
See you later, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, awkward time.